So, now you're a student of the PhD at ETS? Well, I'll explain to you the exams that you will need to pass in the process to become a PhD candidate. The first 4 sessions are pretty important because here is where you will define your research project. First, your director will give you some readings to help you start. Then, in the next 3 sessions, you will present the 1-year-long DGA exam that is divided into 3 parts, 1 per session. The parts of the exam are research problematic, written exam, and oral exam. But before starting the DGA examination, your first subject is called DGA 1005 or Guided Readings, and it takes part on your first session. Here, your supervisor will give you readings that he or she considers are important to start the formulation of your research. At the end of the first session, you will have a first literature review written in a report, and you will be ready to start the DGA examination. The first thing that you will need to know about this 1-year-long exam is its rules. First, the exam is divided into 3 parts, and each part takes place in a different session. Second, you have to take each part one after the other without missing any sessions in between. Third, you can only fail once, and only in one of the 3 parts. This means that if you fail in the first part, you cannot fail any of the other 2 or you will be out of the program. Fourth, if you dramatically change your PhD project or change of supervisor, you might have to repeat the entire examination in order to get an approval for your new project. Finally, if your project involves any type of human research, and this not only means medical, but social, behavioral, or even if you're planning on conducting surveys, you might need to file an approval for your project from the Ethics Committee at ETS. There is another video in which we talk in detail about how to submit an application to the Ethics Committee. Now, here is where the action starts. On your second session, once you have your literature review, you and your supervisor will define the direction of your research, and based on that, you will generate a first proposal. This part is called the DGA 1031 exam. By the end of the session, you will deliver a small report and give a presentation with your proposal. The proposal should contain the following sections: context, problem statement, solution overview, objectives, methodology, and work plan for the rest of your PhD. By the end of the second session, you will be presenting for about 15 minutes to the PhD director and to the other PhD students that, like you, are starting their PhDs at ETS. Maybe even your supervisor decides to be there. You will have to answer some questions related to your presentation, and that's it. You have passed the first third of your examination. The next part is the written exam, which is called the DGA 1032. At the beginning of your third session, each member of your jury will give you some literature that will help you fulfill your proposed project. During this session, you will have to prepare yourself by reading and understanding carefully the literature provided, and you will have to research what you think is necessary to fully understand the themes that your jury deemed important. At the end of this session, you will present the written exam, which is divided into 2 sections. For the first one, also known as the control section, you will be in a classroom with other students that are in the same phase as you, and you will receive in a closed envelope the questions provided by your jury. For this part, you are allowed to bring notes, books, and any kind of printed literature. Some supervisors may allow their students to bring a laptop, but that depends on their style. You will have about 3 hours to handwrite your answers in separate notebooks, each for each jury member. My advice here: get your hand ready by practicing handwriting before the exam. Trust me, you will be needing it. The second section of the written exam is called the dissertation. After finishing the control section, you will receive a closed envelope with a second set of questions from your jury, which you can take home. You will have a full week to answer them. Don't worry, this time you can use your computer for sure. In the fourth session, you are getting closer and closer to finally be a PhD candidate. You are now in the last part of the exam, the DGA 1033. This consists in preparing an oral presentation for your jury. During this session, and with the guidance of your supervisor, you will write a formal proposal and submit it to your jury 1 month before the session ends. By the end of this session, you will have to schedule a time to present and defend your proposal in front of the jury. The presentation will last from 30 to 40 minutes, and after that, your jury will be asking their questions to make sure that you are ready and able to fulfill your proposal. They also might give you some advice or ask you to change something on your proposal, or they can ask you to take some additional courses. And after this, congratulations! Here is when you pass the doctoral exam and become a formal PhD candidate.